All right, so based on the Desmos that we just did, who can tell me what slope-intercept form is? Antonio. Very good. Y is equal to mx plus b. What did the m stand for? Good. Slope. Was that you, Jay? Thanks, dude. And what does the b represent? Good. The y-intercept. And this is really nice because it helps us do a lot of different things. Okay, the first thing that it helps us do is graph. So let's look at two examples of graphing with slope-intercept form. And from this point, I'm just going to call it SI form. So I'm going to pause just to draw two coordinate planes. So we've drawn a couple graphs, and we've got two equations. And we're going to write this out step by step so we know how to graph these equations. Our step one is we have to know what the equation tells us, and that's our slope and y-intercept. So we identify the slope and y-intercept. Step two will be to graph the y-intercept. We will graph the y-intercept. And remember, this will be a point, the y-intercept. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this point by what it is based on the equation. The x value at the y-intercept is always 0. And from the equation, the y-intercept was represented by which letter? B. So this will be 0, comma b. And the last step to graphing these is use the slope as rise over run to graph more points. Okay, so let's look at this first one here. When you finish writing. Our y-intercept here is what? What is our y-intercept of this first equation? 2. So our point will be 0, 2. So we're going to start by graphing that. So we move up here to 0, 2. And then we use our slope. What is our slope? Close. -2, but we're going to use it as rise over run. So we'll call this -2 over 1. So now how do I use this rise over run? Well, I start at the y-intercept. I start at this point, and then using this as rise over run would mean I go which direction? Well, it's a -2 though, so I would go down 2 over how many? 1. So down 2 over 1. And I can do it again, right? Down 2 over 1. And I can graph more points. And then I can just sketch the line. Now, I think we talked about this. How many points does it take to fix a line? How many nails does it take to hang a picture that won't move? 2. So do I need more than 2 points? No, I can do it with just 2. But I can always find 3 because it's easier to draw the line between 3 points. Let's do the same thing for this one. What's our y-intercept? Good, it's a -1. So my point would be 0, -1. And my slope, written as rise over run, is what? 1/3. So I start at 0, -1. And then I do what? Up 1, right 3. 1, 2, 3. So it looks like it only gives me 2 points, right? But could I continue the line backwards also? What would I have to do to continue the line backwards? Good. I would go left 3 and down 1, or down 1 and left 3. Notice that this point is still on the same line. Okay, so we can graph this line here. Does that make sense on how to graph these? Start at the y-intercept and use the slope. Easy enough? Easy. So now we're going to work on finding the equation if we're given a graph. Okay? So all I'm going to do is give you a line, and I want us to try and write the equation for it. So I've labeled I've created a graph with 5 spots on each one. And I'm going to start by maybe putting this, I'll put it right here. We'll go at 3. And then I'm going to put another point out here. And let's see here. So now I can draw my line. There's the line. And I want to know what the equation is. And I want to write this equation in slope-intercept form. What is slope-intercept form? It's the general form for it. Good. I want it to be in this form. Y equals mx plus b. So what pieces of information do I need to know to write an equation for this? I need to know the y-intercept. Good. So I need to know that b is something. Travis, what else do I need? And I also need the slope. Well, that's pretty easy to do, isn't it? We know how to do both those things. Somebody other than Nick or Travis, what's my y-intercept here? Good, Lacey. Yeah, thank you. It's 3. Notice it's right here. Now, the slope might be a little bit trickier, but now somebody other than Lacey, Travis, and Nick, what would my slope be here? So let's make sure we have this ordered pair all the same. This is -5, 1, and 0, 3. What is the slope? Well, we can use the slope formula. What did the slope formula say? Antonio A., what is the slope formula? Good. Okay, so we can keep going here. This is fine. What is my y2? Three. Good, Jude. Thank you. 3 minus, what's my y1? 1 over, what's my x2? 0 minus -5. What's 3 minus 1? 2. What's 0 minus -5? Positive 5. Right? And look, is my slope positive here? Does it look like the slope of this line is positive? Yeah, looks like it. So what would this equation look like then? Y equals what? Close.
No, it's 2x plus 5.
Nearly.
What?
Khan Academy's great. I'm gonna work for him one day. Yeah. Come on, guys. What's M stand for?
Oh, it's y equals 2/5 x.
Good. So I plug in the 2/5 for M, which is 2/5 x. And then my B value. What's my B value? Positive 3. So since it's positive here, it's plus 3. Neato.